Hello, friends. So this will be a video about this recent comment about UPSC or students, wasting time in UPSC by made by a person who had entered bureaucracy through this lateral entry route that recently they had. But many students have asked me this question of whether it is true or whether are they doing something important or as the case as the person from the bureaucracy has mentioned in one private interview. That is a private comment that he may have made, and it's his choice. But some students have asked me, so I too, as a person who has been there in civil services for this long, and person teaching civil services, I too thought I should think about all these things and give my opinion. So this is just going to be a personal opinion, like the way he gave his personal opinion. It's not going to be about it's tu tu me me. It's not worth it. So to have all these he said that, so this is a bad thing, this is a good thing. My view, so that is the point. And my view is usually the views of people, like so this is going to be so what I'm going to talk about is going to be from some books which I read, and I understood the meaning of all these things, what he is saying, whatever he's saying, and whatever the country is going through, or whatever is the meaning of bureaucracy, I understood from these books, which is Why Nations Fail. This is Darren Asimoglu. And one more book by the same authors, it is called as The Narrow Corridor. So the terms and all are from these books only. So Darren Asimoglu. So this is one more book by him. So by them, it's Darren Asimoglu. And one more person who is very favorite to me was Nehru. And this is also from the Discovery of India. So if I am going to say something, it's from this Discovery of India. And one more person is one of my favorite authors, and this is the book, The Origins of Political Order by Francis Fukuyama. This is the book I am going to, base my arguments on, because if somebody is saying something, it has to have an factual thing. I should not just term something as a good thing or a bad thing. So to go to the thing that he has, said in that video, it's about, I have not seen, in the other parts of it, but civil services part I did see. In that, he is talking about, so many students having this civil services as a dream, and they, instead of doing that, they are wasting a lot of time doing civil services. And it hit me, it really hit me, because I kept on writing these exams one after the other. I kept on writing prelims and mains, and then interview, and prelims and mains and interview. And I too felt what he was saying, maybe at one point or the other, whether I am doing the correct thing by writing these exams, or should I. Many students have also asked, have you ever thought or regretted your decision of choosing civil services? Maybe if I have regretted the decision, I'll talk in the final stages of this video. But now, as to the view that he has expressed, as to whether the students are wasting a lot of time, I agree in one aspect of this. I agree to the point that civil services, what has happened, or the preparation for the past few years that I have been seeing, it is more centered on materials. It is more centered on this aspect of current affairs. It is, or there's no more this discussion on whether you can go and read that book, because I myself have found that if I say that you can read books, don't read these materials, I am looked at as if I am doing a very bad thing for the civil services aspirants. Actually, it is a good thing. But the argument of Sanjeev, I think his name is Sanjeev, I think, the argument that he is making as to students not having any skill. And I think I read this recent book on by Raghuram Rajan. I think I have that book somewhere. Breaking the Mold. So he and one more person had written the book, recent book. In that also, he also mentions this fact that civil services aspirants go for this rote learning. He was talking about in that book. This argument, I think we should take it seriously, because everything that one person say, we cannot, we cannot say just because that person is saying it and out of place, it is not true. This is something which I think every civil services aspirant has to consider and has to think about the fact that you have come here for clearing this examination. Are you going to make yourself this passive, absorbent of materials, or are you going to be an active player in, evolving yourself and becoming a better person for, becoming an officer? And immediately the students give this argument of, there is a topper who has cleared this exam, and that topper suggests this material, this topper said this, or this sir has said this, or sir has said only this is enough. See, you are a grown up, and I don't have to say, you do this or do that. My personal opinion is, uh, to grow as a person is not an one event endeavor. You want to be a better person, it's not going to stop you, or it's not going to stop when you clear this exam. You are going to keep on growing as you move along your life. There will be different phases of life. This is just one phase where you are preparing for this exam, where you want to be an officer. It's a very important thing, but you restricting yourself only to this material, only to the current affairs, is a bad thing. I do agree on what he was saying on that. I do agree on Raghuram Rajan's book, Breaking the Mold. Not the entire book, not the entire book, or not what entirely what Sanjeev has, the Mr. Sanjeev has said. The point I am trying to make is that don't believe this fact that only a material is enough for clearing this exam. Maybe 1 or 2% would have cleared. Others, look at the topper, Anudeep Durushetty, the book list he has given. In the book list, this is there. The book that you can go check that book list. This book is there. Why Nations Fail. He says that he has taken a paragraph from this and has written in his essay. Now we think about how do take passages from a topper's paper and write that. Whether that is good or bad, you think about it. That is where I stop in agreeing with whatever he says. The point that I don't agree, and other things that they talk about, I don't really agree. They talk about this job being, boring or things like that. Which, you tell me something, unless and until Michael Phelps, I think, has said that, Michael Phelps had, I do not know whether you have seen this. Michael Phelps, he says that he was in depression. Depression may have so many other reasons. Okay, leave that aside. They may have some biological reason, or they may have this chemistry wrong in their head. Depression is a different thing. This boring, monotonous thing that he is referring to in civil services, or why do you aspire for something? You can aspire for becoming, an Ambani, or Elon Musk. I'll come to the stage of Ambani a little later, but if we talk about Elon Musk also, there is a sense of challenge in whatever Elon Musk does. There is a sense of repetition in anything that a person does. You become better by repetitively doing something and becoming better in that. That's what he is referring to as boring. When you have to be an officer of the grade that is required as an undersecretary or something like that, you have to have this habit of becoming a person who is able to take decisions in multiple avenues. So that can happen by having, knowledge, repetitive knowledge in so many fields. And that's what is in every work. You take software engineer, you take doctors, you take anyone, it will have its phase of repetitive tasks that is there. Or you take the most eulogized job in India is being a housewife. We'll talk about the last. I'll talk about why what Sanjeev is saying does not make any sense in India, is especially because still people believe that being a housewife is like goddess worshipping. Imagine the repetitive work that they do. Where have see, he's talking about civil services aspirant wasting their life in a repetitive job like what is that UPSC. He has not addressed this fact that for years and years people have been eulogized for taking a job like housewife, where they do the most repetitive and most, and leads to so many depression. And look at the way they are, we term them as I have seen that we term them as like very innocent looking. Look at their diet, look at their the body that with so much of fat. That's depression, that's showing there. You may say that they like their jobs and being a housewife is good. Look at, first we have to address that. Maybe the final thing that I'll talk about, whether how do you become an Elon Musk, how do you become an Ambani, that requires breaking the mold, what Raghuram Rajan has said, breaking the structures which incarcerate or chain people should also be considered. It's a little later. So, as to the argument of it being a boring thing, I don't agree. I don't agree. I think that so many jobs are there. Many of the jobs are repetitive and boring, but civil services, it has this life. We There is a saying like we are the story we tell ourselves. If you think about it, the story we tell ourselves is dependent on the story that is told in society. What the society says as a story is the story that you tell yourself. It's very simple. We don't tell different stories in our mind. We tell the story that the story, society tells us. One of the story that India has given to us is that to help people is very important thing, and you feel a sense of what to say, contentment, or one job, that is the job satisfaction. If the story had been different, you would have said different path. The story that we have been taught for a very long time is to do some difference. So you can ask whether Elon Musk is not doing any difference or Elon Musk is doing a very large number of difference. And I myself, um, very fond of that person. Recently I read a book on Elon Musk, by, I think it was a not autobiography, it was a biography, written by one of my favorite authors. I think I have made a video on that also. But what I would want to suggest is that to become an Elon Musk or to become an Ambani, the society has to be liberated. What do I mean? See, we have. You may think that I am saying a different tone altogether. What I am trying to say is that the society, if it is not liberated, the economic liberation is not going to aid in development of a person into an Ambani or or an Elon Musk. What do I mean by that is that the Francis Fukuyama in the book, he refers to this fact of India being a closed society. That is, we were a society who were driven by this, ideology of religion, caste, superstition, and which in Discovery of India, Nehru keeps referring to this, is that we are, having this cage of norms, as Darren Asimoglu in the book talks about. He has a chapter on India. He talks about we have this cage of norms. cage of norms is what I was exactly referring to as, the job of a housewife. That it's a cage. We it's like it, I s- I really shudder to think of the fact that how can a large 50% of the population were in that. You can tell about this fact that I have asked some of my friends, and they say that it is just with how you take it, and it's a correct thing. That's the point I say. The story you say is what your life will be. But whether having 50% of the population, in the case of India, having this job of an unpaid labor, not 50%, maybe most of them, unpaid labor, without any scientific discovery that they could have done, innovation they could have done, they could have contributed to the philosophy of India. Instead of that, a large population are bound in using gender. A large population have always been in India bound by caste restrictions as to not give their ideas into the philosophy of what India has to be. See, it is not anyone's fault. No, I'm not going to go into this political debate of it was the fault of them, it was a fault. But you imagine a country where women having this 50% population not contributing to the philosophy of India. You may ask whether other countries are doing that. Means yes, they too are not doing the same thing. It should be so they are not doing the things which are necessary. They are at least trying. Look at the labor participation rate or the unemployment rate which came recently, and it shows the fact that there is a considerable chunk of population which is unemployed. And the economic advisor, or who I do not know, I read it in the paper, he was talking about this. We cannot do anything about the social economic things which are there. Government cannot have this role in reducing unemployment. I do not know what kind of an argument is that, because especially if you have to reduce this unemployment, and as the Sanjeev, the person who was referring to making people as Ambanis, or Ambanis, or like Elon Musk, it has to have a sense of liberation. It has to have a sense of removal of restriction of social and economic order. You imagine the person who is he is referring to, we could aspire to that. The person had, or you cannot accuse somebody of having colluded with the bureaucracy, but you imagine the point is that once you have the closeness to the power structure, you can grow like the richest person in the world. That's the point that everybody is talking about. Or now imagine why everybody, as Sanjeev talks about, wants to be part of this bureaucracy. Everybody wants to be a part of this bureaucracy in India, because India, as Romila Thapar says, is a power driven society. This power driven society had been closed for a very long time for people to aspire to acquire this power. Many of the time, the power was in the hands of a very small section of population uh, who had the ecosystem. Again, I will not go to this blame game of politics. They had this ecosystem of being part of the power. Now, what he is terming as poverty of aspirations, I feel is democratization of power. I feel that now is the time when first generation students are aspiring to become one of the they want to be part of the power to change things. Immediately, when you talk to somebody, they will be like, I want to be an IAS. Why do they want to be an IAS? You think about it. That is because they want to be part of this power structure and remove the shackles and the cage of norms which has chained them for a very long time. This can seem as an abstract philosophical thought. You imagine the scenarios that has taken place in India, the history of India, or the this is what discovery of India. What Nehru discovers in that book is that we have to go for science. We have to think about science. India, even today, is a society which believes in horoscopes. You know, I have even see, as guilty as anyone else. I have also been, I too used to believe in this horoscope. Today people believe. uh, how do you make a society like aspirational, like Elon Musk, or you know uh, I'll quote not I'll quote a different person, Elon Musk, Larry Page, or people from they have risen from this what to say technological background. They have not risen because they have been uh, close to power or something like that. When a society arises like that, people would definitely aspire to become whoever they want, as much as their potential gives them to be that person. That's what is the meaning of development, is what Amartya Sen gives us in this Human Development Index. When he came up with this concept, he talks about I think there is a book, Development as a Freedom. I think there is a book. Okay, Development as a Freedom. In the book, he gives this concept of what is the meaning of growth and freedom. Is that you being able to aspire to become who you want to be without any boundaries of social, economic, political stopping you. If India has to be a country like that, I hope people like Sanjeev, who has referred to all these things, instead of pointing fingers, as he has referred to a set of, I think that also I saw, referred to a set of population in East India as being, because of this. I think that's where he comes up with this term of poverty of aspirations. East India, he talks about how they are, they don't take up jobs, they don't do, or because of this communist philosophy or something. See, as an if it is proved as an so if he has a theory, he has to prove it anthropologically, sociologically. He has to submit whatever evidences that he has, that communism has resulted in poverty of aspirations or something like that. You have to give evidences for proving that. Whatever I have spoke is based on the books and the evidences that all these are political philosophers. They are not, they are not saying just like that. They have published all these things. And I can also give you a book on Thomas Piketty. It's called as Capital. Thomas Piketty, he comes up with this theory of inequality in a society resulting because of the unequal distribution of power. He has published this theory saying that a society is unequal because of they look at Indian society. We have one of the growing divergence of inequality anywhere else. Central Asia, sorry, not Central Asia, Central America and USA, Russia, they have this inequality. True, India is also going towards that. That is because of the asymmetrical distribution of power. Then what does a person in a society do is that they will aspire to acquire that power in order to reduce at least their gap in the family, in terms of this inequality. That also will push, as history says, that also will push them towards social change, breaking of the norms, which is slowly happening, which will definitely happen. As to the imaginations of our forefathers and foremothers in the constitution, India will away freedom and light, is the meaning of what I suggest for civil services aspirants. Is that, as to the question of what Sanjeev has said, I won't term it as elitist or what is that, privileged or something like that. That's his view. Let him have his view. We have our view. I will again end this video with a caution that don't go for materials. Don't, think about only current affairs. Clearing this examination is not your only job. Becoming a better person to reform India and to take India into the path of development that all these people have thought about is also your job. Maybe it is a boring job. I think I'll end with the term. I think there was a period in history where there was before. I think it is before Gandhi. People went and asked. I think Gokhale or someone in terms of this petition and things that we give for the Britishers. It is not making any change. For that, he gives this explanation that today you may not realize, the change that is we are doing in this for the development of the country. 30 years down the line you will realize its importance. 30 years down the line we got the independence. Today you may not realize the change which is happening, this democratization of power, not poverty of aspirations. This democratization of powers to liberate the cage of norms for all the people to achieve their goals and development is what is happening today. It may seem as people are not having all these aspirations, as Sanjeev has said, to aspire to become a part of the power structure, change the things which they have felt burdensome in their life is not poverty of aspiration. It is actually, a celebration of their liberation. Thank you. All the best.